Are you ready for a fourth line day? We are in the 11th gate, the gate of ideas, gate of peace, and we have the fourth line, which is called the teacher. When you get to the fourth line and the upper trigram, there is something very special that happens. This channel is intensely social, and there is enormous frustration in the first three lines about not really being successful at crossing the line to get to the point of stimulation in the 56th gate in order to find the believers. In this line, we come to externalization and to this very fixed one-track process. Here it is very fixed on a single idea and very fixed on its ability to look across and know how to stimulate others. There is a quality and a capacity here to stimulate. The upper trigrams in collective channels have the inherent skills to be social in a social structure. And the 11-4 is the great gate of teaching. The 11-4 is exactly opposite the 12-4, the prophet, and this is where the mutation took place in our throat around 85,000 years ago. It was the 12th gate in the fourth line, the mutation that opened up our capacity to be able to communicate with each other, the communicating capacity through a transpersonal mutation. The 11-4 represented the mutation of mind. That's the dominance of mind at the expense of our nose, and the ability to be able to codify the visual mind and to translate that into language. Ra called the 11th gate the gate of white magic, and the 48th gate the gate of black magic. Both so called, of course. It's white magic in that there is a great power in an idea. It is the power of the possibility of experience and the possibility of expression of that experience. If you can imagine speaking to God, is it impossible then to speak to God? If you can imagine an alien landing in your garden and then going into your kitchen and having a cup of tea, can you really imagine that that is impossible? And so what happens here is that there can be a torment by the very fact that you can imagine these things that then don't actually happen. Anyone who takes the time to look deeply into the significance of the crystals of consciousness and the way they operate, you begin to see that we're being programmed by all kinds of crystal forces that are based on our conditioning and our cultures we give names to. We have gods and goddesses. We have aliens from supposedly different stars. We have UFOs that are just on the horizon and avatars that are floating around giving information. All of those are aspects of what in design are called crystal bundles. In its ideas, the collective does not create anything new. In fact, the motto for the collective is nothing new under the sun. It just creates variations on the same theme. The most ancient conscious beings on this planet, they were in awe of the sky. It's where they placed their gods and goddesses. The sky was filled with these forces, and they had to give them some sort of shape or form because otherwise they could not in any way relate to them. We do the same thing, we've just updated them slightly. The lifetime learning says the ability to express the essential nature of peace, or the essential nature of an idea. This line is a transpersonal gift, and you will see that this is a multi-dimensional line and very rare in design. The tradition of the teacher has been based on teaching the ignorant. They have to believe first. When you are teaching a child and it has no real experience of the world, it cannot know or understand what you're teaching. It has to believe you first until it finds out for itself. Most of us come to a point in our lives where, through teachers, we always found disillusionment. What we were asked to believe from the teachers in our lives, whether they were parents or actual teachers, in many circumstances, we came to the point of disillusionment. that what we had thought was being given to us in value or had value to it instead turned out to be an illusion, if not a downright lie. The reality is that the tradition of the teacher is to first get believers. And this is a very Piscean field, and we are going through a process where this is changing. So this line is called the teacher, and it is one of a few lines that have more than 2 planets fixing it. So it is very unusual in that nature itself. The moon exalted, the sage that in the extreme can teach harmony to the tone deaf. Venus is also exalted, the ability to reach out and attract the alienated, concepts which are clear and transferable, ideas which can attract and inform the uneducated. 4th lines are the great missionaries. This is a major keynote for 4th lines, and all religious dogma is here. This is the gate of white magic, and these are the great exponents of white magic. Narrow-minded, locked in their own track, and though they can be brilliant, they can also be very dangerous because they have the power to attract the other side. They have the power to get others to say, I believe. This is one of the most dogmatic of all gates, and this is the nature of white magic. If everybody believes, children, Tinkerbell won't die. The most important thing in being a teacher is that what you teach clearly, and it is transferable. If it's not transferable, wow, it's a lousy idea. The 4th line always carries its missionary zeal. This is the line of influence. It is the line of taking that opportunity. So these are teachers who get their power from teaching the uneducated. And in the detriment, we have the guru, whose most valued wisdom is intentionally limited to a few, ideas which can only be grasped by the few. The word guru in Sanskrit just means heavy. It's nothing more special than that. Einstein had his son here, actually, in the 11th floor in the detriment. Ra said that he was no guru. He never wanted followers. He never wanted believers. Students, okay, but don't make human design into a cult or into a religion. It's a mechanical system, that's all. Think about Einstein and his theory of relativity. He may have revolutionized the way in which a certain aspect of the global population deals with its understanding of the universe. However, do you know any mothers who can teach that to their children? This is guru stuff. This is the knowledge that is deceptively difficult to grasp and therefore limited to the few. If you're clear and transferable, then the mother can teach it to the child. And this was one of Ra's great joys in design, that there are even mother and daughter analysts in the world. It's deeply transferable information, and that's a different kind of teaching. And the grounding in gate is in gate 12 in line 4, of course, the prophet. This is the primary capacity to be able to articulate in words. It is our ability to communicate to each other, with each other in language. And it's fairly obvious, I think, how this supports the line of the teacher. This is a line that knows the right moment to let go of caution and speak. And it has a resonance to the first line of the 11, which is the serendipity of being in the right place at the right time. So the moon has been in the root gates, root center gate 52, the gate of inaction, since 1:56 this morning. It moves into gate 39 at 11:34. We're staying in the root center here, but moving to individuality as the moon visits the gate of provocation, the fuel to find the spirit in the other, with that pulse energy that comes from its format channel and its mutative and melancholic keynotes. The moon moves into gate 53 at 21:19, still in the root, but in the collective abstract circuit. This is the gate of beginnings, and it is a format energy. It's that cyclical, abstract circuitry that's about experience and the movement through the cycle from correct beginnings to correct endings. And finally, the moon moves into gate 62 at 7:10 tomorrow morning. This is the gate of detail in the throat center, the gate that says, I think. This is the logical collective gate that is the expression of the stream of understanding. The key word here is expression. Thinking is not doing. There is no action here. So that's our 11 in the line 4. Thank you very much for joining me for this one. And I look forward to seeing you in the 5th line tomorrow. So until then, as always, go gently.